Hi everybody, in this video I am going to show y'all how to construct a parallel line through a point. And the first thing I want y'all to remember, and I hope that this is something you remember, if we have two parallel lines, so these two lines are parallel, and I have a line that intersects them to form these kinds of we call some of them alternate interior angles, same side angles, opposite angles, vertical angles. We have lots of different types of angles in here. But the cool thing is a lot of them are congruent. So if I have two parallel lines, this angle and this angle are congruent. This angle is also congruent to this angle. And these are all the same to each other by vertical angles as well. And then we can look at the opposites here. This angle is congruent to this one, which is congruent to this one, which is congruent to this one. So we're going to kind of use this idea in our construction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use first the line tool, and I'm going to construct this kind of transversal line through this point H to the original line. Our goal is to use the compass and straight edge to construct a line through point H parallel to what we already have. So first I'm going to create this kind of opposite or this alternate angle, and I messed up. It has to start at point H. So click on point H and then drag it to anywhere on your line. I think I'm gonna do here. All right, now pick your angles that are smaller. So when I look at this, I notice that kind of four angles are formed. So I want to look at this H and then the intersection, well, let's call this I for right now. So HI, and then we want this smaller angle is what we're kind of going to be looking at. So what I want to do is click on compass, and I'm going to set the center of my compass at this intersection point between the gray and the black line. And I want to essentially find an angle measure within that inside angle. So I'm going to set my compass to be any radius, and I will strike this kind of inside arc here to represent this kind of angle measure. Now that we have this interior angle or arc measurement, I'm going to keep the compass the same exact length, same exact size, and I am going to move it up to point H. And I'm going to create kind of a copy of this angle. Because whenever I draw the parallel line through point H, it should form that same angle, right? It should be the same angle. The parallel lines form those same congruent angles. Now, what I need to do is I need to figure out how far, and I'm going to click my little pointer. I need to figure out how far this point up here should be from the line. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use our compass tool. Oops. And I am going to measure the distance, looking back at my original intersection points, looking at the original line and the original angle. I am going to click, and I'm going to set the center of my compass as one of these intersection points. And the center or the other edge of the circle will be the other intersection point. So notice these two intersection points of this original arc. They are highlighted in blue. One of them is the center, the other one is the outside edge of the circle. And keeping the center and everything the same with this compass, I'm going to simply shift the center to the intersection point by H, trying to find that same distance from the intersection point to our line that is going through H. So now I am going to draw an arc to show where we will intersect that original angle, or that copied angle, if you will. And now, oops. Turn the compass off. Now we have this intersection of these two arcs. and this point H over here that we can construct a line between. So I will switch over to line, I will click on point H, and I will drag it over to that other intersection point. And if we did it right, notice those original angles that we kind of set up, these original arcs, those angles do look the same. These two lines do look parallel. All right, I want to do another one because this is, I know, a tricky one. This takes practice. This takes practice. I had to practice this a couple times before I made this video. Okay, so do not worry if this feels challenging. New problem. So I am going to begin again by setting up a line that just intersects our original given line. So I'm going to draw a line through point H intersecting our original line. And now I'm going to click on compass, and I want the center of my compass to be at the intersection point of those two lines. And then I will extend to make the radius any length, and I will draw an arc. I'll draw an arc that intersects that original line and the new line. Now I'm going to move the center of our compass up to point H, and I'm going to draw another arc. Very similar, kind of copying it. Now, the next thing I could do, I'm just going to move the center of our compass back down to the kind of that original intersection point that we were working on. But now I'm looking at where the arcs intersect that black line and the gray line. So I am going to have the center at one of our intersection points and the outside edge at the other arc intersection point. So now I'm kind of measuring the straight distance. And I will move the center up to the arc intersection point of that new point, right? So up at point H, there should be that new arc up top. I want to drag the center up to the intersection near H. And I will click and drag to draw an arc that intersects the arc that's already there. So now I should have these two intersecting arcs. So I have point H and this other point kind of near H that I can now draw a line between. So I will draw a line from H to this other point that is now directly parallel. Please, please, please practice this, practice this, practice this. Perhaps once you have it written down, write down the steps. Maybe these steps that they have will help you. Write down step 1, draw any line or ray from given point through point H. This takes practice. It takes time to learn. So don't feel discouraged if you don't get it right away. I promise you it takes time. I look forward to seeing y'all in class. Oh, hello.